Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well right now. My name is Scott and this is my business partner Will.
Hey guys.
And we are the founders of Saga Events here. So we are a creative event management agency based out of Vancouver, Canada. And we decided to kind of start this YouTube channel here to bring people up with what's going on in events, how the event landscape is shifting, and just some fun tips and tricks that you can bring to your next event. So I think a really good way to start this off is what actually is an event. We all have kind of an idea of what this is, but what is from a professional perspective, what is an event, Will?
I think for the purposes of this channel, we're going to define events as something unique and organize a plan with a specific outcome or an experience in mind.
Yeah, and I think the real important part about events is that experience aspect. We see events as, telling this story, and us as humans, we are built on this idea of storytelling. This is why we actually picked Saga as our company name, because we want to help make your events into these epic stories that you're going to be able to recount and retell, because this is what events to us are really about.
Especially now, I think the event landscape is changing quite a bit with everything going on. And I think there are going to be more businesses with in-house event teams who might not have the experience or the expertise that we have. So I'm hoping that we can help you guys throw better events and grow your businesses through those events. Donald Getz, one of the lead academics in the event field, also kind of pointed out interesting things about events. The first being that an event, for an organizer's perspective, is something that's infrequent or one time. I think that's kind of important to recognize. So we're not talking about your everyday meetings. We're talking about your conferences or your sales events where you have a specific ROI that you're trying to reach, right?
Yeah, it's all about finding those goals, creating those memorable experiences, and something to strive and plan and work towards there. And you're always going to be trying to push the envelope, outdo what you did last year, outdo what your competitors are doing like that, and make yourself stand out in this ever crazy world.
When you think about events with that definition, what are the earlier events that you can think of? What comes to mind?
Well, I mean, if we want to go all the way back to the beginning, building on this idea of storytelling, they were always just kind of gatherings of people. They would typically be connected to, lunar events or religious ceremonies or something like that. And then these grew into sporting and competition, music, food, all these. Yep. So thinking back to some of the big earlier events, things like the Olympics and the Pan-Hellenic Games. So we're actually going to do a whole separate segment on kind of like this history of events.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in a little bit more of that historical and technical background for events, definitely give those videos a shout.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about how something like the Olympics from way back when is still going on today, and to kind of follow the progression of that event and how it's changed to fit the culture and the time.
Yeah, so events are really cool in this aspect where they both simultaneously create culture and are created by culture. So it's this big cyclical thing. I mean, the more often that events happen, if they're annual or if they have like a little bit of a history to them, it will influence and shape how they go. But they change every year and the generations change and everything as well.
And we're talking about these mega sporting and cultural events right now. But I think the lessons learned and how these events progress can be easily adapted to smaller business events as well. So I think everybody has something to learn from examining these mega events and how they've evolved. We've basically been talking about a few key events. So we've touched upon the Olympics, which is obviously a sporting event, business events. Well, what other type of events do we have today?
Well, I'm sure some of the main events, especially people that will be watching our channel like this, they'll be planning for conferences, maybe things like product launches, team building events. I think are going to be ever more present in the future as people are, shifting to the online world in a lot of cases, and really getting together and getting to actually know the people in your office, or if offices are still a thing in the future. These special kind of gatherings as well are going to be something that's going to have to be changing and adapting to the new event landscapes that are out there.
Yeah, for sure. There's also things like incentive travel, which obviously we can't do right now. But once travel opens up, I think this is going to be a really good way to motivate your team. There's also different types of events now, right? When we talked about events before, they were usually always in-person live events. But with everything going on now, we have this shift towards virtual.
Yep.
And once things open up again, we're going to have a big boom in hybrid events. I think this should have been the case. But now more than ever, people are going to need to know how to integrate the virtual experience and the live experience.
Yeah, I mean, the future is now, as they say, and being able to blend this immersive technology that we have, not just taking live video feeds, but even tapping into things like virtual reality and integrating through applications, having people within different parts of the world, even having different hubs for events all going on at the same time, being able to interface with each other through the internet or stuff like that. This is the future of where events are going. And this opens up an exciting new time for us as event planners and for everyone else that's involved in this industry to really capitalize and get a hold of this new technology and, push the boundaries, have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah, I think the multi-hub events that you're talking about are going to be very key. It saves on travel. It allows smaller teams of local people to network with each other while still allowing everybody to have that big experience. It's a pretty exciting time to be in events. Now is when a lot of change is going to happen, and we can set how the event industry evolves.
Yeah, I think we can definitely learn from the problems of the past, and this has kind of been a hard reset in a lot of ways for how we're going to be structuring events going again into the future once everything is, up and running again full speed.
So we've kind of talked about the different types of events that are out there. But what kind of career opportunities and how is the industry broken up as far as individual players and stakeholders in events?
Well, I think a big part of the industry right now is it's all about scale. A smaller, more boutique event or team building events, these can be managed by a singular entity, one event manager, maybe two, part of a team. But of course, as we're scaling these things up with events with multiple thousands of people showing up, if we're having these multi-node events or if you're integrating these new aspects of technology, these hybrid events that are going to go out there, there will be a lot of specialization going in there. So we're going to start seeing these emergence of teams, these emergence of more specialists, so things like design, marketing.
If you look at event agencies, usually broken into 2 to 3 teams. You've got the creative team, which handles the design, as you said, but also the marketing, social media. And then you really have the logistics team, which does things from like talent management, production. And then you have the finance, but there's a range of event careers, right? There are venues, catering, AV, freelance event management. And I think with the way things are going, there's going to be a lot more demand for the event technologists.
Yeah, I definitely think being able to figure out the ways that we can integrate with virtual reality or with digital streaming, multiple hubs, this is going to be the future of events. And this is where there's going to be a lot of diversity and a lot of new jobs opening up in the near future, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also like government agencies, tourism boards, teams that bid on the mega events such as the Olympics. And then there's the whole education and training side of the event management.
Conferences, I think, are going to be one of the biggest ones that are going to have something to gain from this new change in technology, being able to see things from a different perspective and being able to have all these experts from all around the world, not having hampered down with who can travel to a specific event or not. These are going to be some of the big changes, and I think some of the big positive changes we're going to see in the event industry as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm hoping this channel helps to bridge a gap in the education and training because we're from Canada. We're based out of Vancouver, Canada. And I feel like Canada's a little bit behind some of the big players, such as the US, the UK, Australia, who all have very intensive postgraduate degrees in the event management field and related fields. Whereas in Canada, it's a little bit harder to find.
Yeah.
So I think the role of the event consultants is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, so, I mean, for us as consultants, we're really just here to make sure you're getting the most out of your events, keeping you aware to the options and helping you avoid those lovely little pitfalls that we've all seen before. So by taking advantage of our experience, you're able to turn your small inside team into, this experienced team that has a lot of different ideas.
Yeah, we're not really trying to reimagine how a team runs an event, really. We're just trying to share our experience and the little things that you have to keep an eye out for, like what kind of policies you have to keep in mind, like copyright laws and things like that.
Yeah, and how to assess risk, you know, going forward now. One of the big changes you're going to see is sanitation, hygiene, and safety. These are going to have to be some of the biggest fields that are going to be readdressed in the next little while.
But there are companies popping up specifically to tackle these issues as well. So hopefully we can point you in the right direction and make sure that you comply with everything and you throw the best event possible.
So the points of this channel, we're going to be splitting these up into a couple of different categories depending on what you're looking to get out of your event education here. So we're going to be looking at some of the historical side of events and how events have evolved and shaping the event landscape that we have today. We're also going to be looking a little bit more into the technical side of specific jobs or special opportunities for events. And we're also going to have a little bit of fun and kind of critiquing and looking at some of these big, crazy events that we've all heard about, things that they've done well, and sometimes the reasons why these big events have fallen, so you can avoid these kind of pitfalls yourself.
I think you can learn a lot from failed events. A lot of failed events had really good ideas. They were built upon a foundation that was almost genius. But because of one or two small mistakes, the whole event crumbled.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there are all these great events out there that were succeeding for so long that all of a sudden disappeared. So you don't want that to happen with your event, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's good to kind of understand what happened in those situations.
So that's what we're hoping to kind of bring to this YouTube channel. Let us know in the comments if there's anything specific you'd like to see. Otherwise, stay tuned and like and subscribe.